All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to week 3 of the Certified Entrepreneurship Educator course. So I hope you had a great last week with the user discovery piece. I really enjoyed getting some feedback and reading through your different projects. This week, we are going to be focusing on ideation. So just to give you a breakdown of the agenda, we'll just do a quick recap and reflection. Then we're going to do some ideation through the form of Crazy Eights, and then we're going to build out our ideas through storyboards. We are going to be doing some critiques, which I will assign you a buddy after this, and you're also going to be completing a user journey map. And so we want to start talking about your project. And we just want to take a few moments to reflect on what did you learn from your user interview? So is there anything that really stuck out to you? Is there anything that was surprising? Is there anything that you needed to dig into further or perhaps had to change your how might we question? I encourage you, if that is the case, to share any of your reflections on our classroom stream. That way we can all see and learn from what you've done. And then you also want to think about how you might change or modify the activity. So the user discovery piece for your students. So what are some ways that you could support them in the interview process? You may want to change that, or what other ways could they complete the user discovery? So with that in mind, we want to talk about ideation. And again, we just want to show this example. This example of Dave is going to help us inform what we are doing for the next little bit in creating a solution. But when you're thinking about ideation, you want to reflect back on your user persona that you created based on your users. And you again want to think about what those unmet needs are. You also want to make sure that your how might we question is readily available for you, because this how might we question is what you're going to be using to be coming up with multiple solutions for the problem that you've identified. And so just a reminder, our how might we for Dave is how might we help young voters feel connected to politics to make informed decisions when voting. And so we are going to be trying to answer that question through ideation. And what we are going to do for ideation is participate in an activity called Crazy Eights. And so you can see what we've got here is 8 potential solutions that are solving our problem for Dave. And so you can see the first one is a youth town hall. And then we remembered that he really liked social media. So we thought, why not put the Facebook or why don't we put the town hall live on Facebook? That way it's readily available. Then we thought perhaps we'd have a Politics 101 stream on Instagram. Students could fill out online surveys to determine what issues are important to them. We thought about bringing in some pop culture. So we had celebrities sharing voting stories and talking about their riding and what their values are, and political issues that they are passionate about. We thought about having a contest where they could submit their local issues, and again, bringing in that celebrity piece, they could win some tickets. And then we wanted to have some issues that were focusing really on those hyper-local issues, so ones that were meaningful to students. So what issues within the school, what issues within perhaps the local gym or the local park. And then we thought we could partner with Vice News to be able to share those stories as well. And so what you are going to be doing, this is going to be a self-guided activity for Crazy Eights. It is a rapid brainstorming activity. And so what you want to do is get a legal size paper and fold your paper in half 3 times. And so you'll be folding it once widthwise and then lengthwise and then widthwise again. And when you open it back up, you should see that you have 8 rectangles on it. You're also going to need to set yourself a timer, and you are going to have only 40 seconds per square to jot down your idea. Again, you are using the how might we question that you are addressing, and you're going to use Sharpie. And that way you're going to have nice thick drawings. They're not super detailed, and it's really just about brain dumping all of those ideas down on paper. So you're going to have 40 seconds per box, and once the 40 seconds runs out, you can move on to the next box there. One of the tips that we have is if you get stuck, we know sometimes the 40 seconds can be a bit overwhelming and coming up with 8 ideas can be a bit daunting. But if you do get stuck, we want you to take a previous sketch and you could edit it slightly. So you may want to combine different ideas to create a new one. You may want to add something new, take something away from that idea. But it's really about getting that Sharpie down on paper and getting as many ideas as you can for how you are solving this how might we question. When you are running this with students, if you're running multiple examples of this, you may not always want to do Crazy Eights as a rapid brainstorming tool. So we need to also think about other brainstorming tools that you could use with students. Some examples that we have here are brainwriting. So you could have students each have a piece of paper. They're jotting down as many ideas as they can, whether it's in images or words. And then after an allotted time, they're going to be passing their paper one to the right and continuing. So adding on to the ideas that are already present. Another one here is an image on the right. It's our lotus blossom. So you have your idea in the middle and you're coming up with 8 different ideas. And for 8 of those ideas that you came up with, they are going to offshoot and you're going to come up with 8 other ideas for that one specific idea. We also have a graffiti wall where, again, you could hang up different big pieces of chart paper around the classroom, and students could brainstorm together by, again, just jotting down any ideas that come to mind. So once you have your ideas, you have your crazy eights down on paper, they may look like little disjointed ideas, and you may not really know how your ideas are going to lead to a solution, which is then going to lead you to your venture plan. Hence, we want you to take the time and build out your ideas in the form of storyboards. Again, you are going to be including that how might we question, and you want to think about how you're taking those ideas from crazy eights to build into a really cohesive solution. So we've got 2 different ideas here for storyboards. The first one is to choose several ideas from your crazy eights and show 3 different features of your solution. So you can see again that we've written our how might we question up at the top. How might we help young voters feel connected to politics to make informed decisions when voting? And we chose a couple ideas here from our crazy eights, and the 3 features that we wanted to show were to ask young voters which issues matter to them, then ask where they stand on those issues, and based on their responses, inform them which candidate they most align with. A second idea was to host a series of Facebook Live events, town hall style, so that young people can ask questions and get direct answers from politicians. And the last idea that we had was for us to partner with news media outlets like Vice News to do a series on local issues and explain local MPs' opinions and experiences on those issues. Those episodes would air based on IP addresses. The other option for storyboard is to take one idea and to build it out into 3 steps, so sort of like a process. So first this happens, then this happens, then this happens. Again, we've got our same how might we question up at the top, and we've now written down a step-by-step process. So the first is celebrities would post informative videos on social media explaining how politics work. They would explain these concepts in easy to understand language. Then followers would comment on celebrity posts with issues that are important to them. AI would collect comments, aggregate the data, and analyze to determine the most pressing issues. And finally, celebrities would interview politicians on the issues determined by youth. All of these would be posted on social media using accessible language. So those are your 2 options for your storyboard, and we want you to choose the one that best fits your ideas for your solution. You can see here that we've got on the sticky notes here a brief image, again at that little sketch, and then next to it we've got a cohesive and descriptive description there that's really explaining what is happening. When you are thinking about creating your storyboards, you are going to have the opportunity to share and get feedback with somebody in this cohort. But what you need to remember is that it should be clear to anyone who is going to be reading it. So we want to make sure that you're adding enough detail that your solution can stand on its own, because you're not going to have the opportunity to explain your storyboard to your peers at this current point in time. The next step that you are going to be doing is critiques. And as I mentioned, I'm going to be assigning each and every one of you a partner for critiquing. And you're going to be doing critiques in 2 stars and 1 wish format. So you're going to review each design in your group. So in this case, you're just going to be reviewing your partner's design and their storyboard. And you're going to leave a comment, so an online comment using the comments feature, writing 2 things that you really like and 1 thing that you wish they might consider in the next iteration. Again, we want to be descriptive in our feedback. We want to be specific so that we're providing them with real actionable goals for how they're going to drive their ideas forward. Again, we are going to be assigning you a partner, and it's really about appreciating the concept. So you're not looking about the drawing, or if you're bringing in images from the internet to help explain what that storyboard image might be. You're not looking at spelling or any of those pieces. It's really about honoring the concept. Now, because your storyboards are online, yours are going to look a little bit different than this. So when you see your template, you'll have a box at the top for your how might we question, which you can just type directly in. And then you're going to have a blank space down the left-hand side where these sticky notes are. Now, it's up to you if you want to use something like Google Draw and add them in, or if you want to bring in images from the internet, that's fine. And then in the text box, you'll see 3 different text boxes that are down the side, and you can type directly in there what is being represented in those images. And then the last piece that you want to be thinking about. So now what you've done is come up with multiple ideas for your solution. So again, how is this solution solving the problem of your user, but also going to be bringing into being built into this business venture. So you've got your ideas from ideation, you've built them out in storyboards to form one cohesive solution. You've gotten some feedback from your partners. So now you want to think about how are you going to incorporate that feedback to really drive your ideas forward. And then you wanted to think about your user journey, and you're going to do that in an exercise called user journey mapping. So you might be asking yourself, what is a user journey map? And it really is a timeline of your user's experience with your product or brand. And so as we're going through ideation, you want to start thinking about what is the product or what is the brand that you are trying to sell here? Because again, ultimately our goal is to create a business venture plan. And so you want to be thinking about how is your solution going to be made into a viable business concept. So you are going to start by planning out your user's experience with your product or brand. So these can include things like your user's pain points. It can include any important interactions with your solution, and it can also include any next steps your user can take. And so we want to give you this example here. Yours is going to look blank. You are going to have positive experiences up at the top, negative experiences at the bottom, and this line through the middle. And so again, we're thinking about our friend Dave. That was who was featured in our user persona. And this is what came up. So some of the negative experiences he had was that the user doesn't engage in politics. However, from our solution, you may remember that we had this online quiz component. And so that was a positive experience. It allowed him to take online quizzes about what really matters to them. And then he also was able to realize that he's not the only one that's a bit of a disengaged voter. And then he has another negative experience. He doesn't feel confident that they understand political platforms. So Dave doesn't feel confident in himself that he understands politics. But then he attends a Facebook Live town hall, and it makes connections with some of the party's platforms. And you can see here that his negative experiences are drifting closer to that midline here, where they're becoming slightly more positive. And so where he ends off is he doesn't know where to vote and still considering who they will vote for, but he definitely feels more prepared. And then ideally, this solution will lead him into a positive experience when we develop that solution. So you're going to be thinking about your own user's experience and what are their positives and negatives associated with this problem and your solution, and whether it's a product or a band or a brand, sorry. And so you want to start to plot those. We suggest trying to have at least 5. You may find that you have a few more, but we suggest having about 5 to 8 that you can plot on this experience here. Again, this is what yours is going to look like, so you can just use the Google Shapes button to add those in here. So we know we are just starting out, and where you plot your user's journey now may look very different in the next couple of weeks as you continue to build out your venture plan. But really, we're just trying to get an idea of what your user journey is going to be looking like at this starting point. So with your students, as you are going through this activity, in the middle school course, it's the entirety of Module 5, and in the high school course, it's the entirety of Module 6 that you'll be working through. So your homework for this week's session is to complete your storyboard. So of course that can only be done once you've completed your ideation. And then you're going to be providing feedback and 2 stars and a wish. So check out Google Classroom for who your partners are going to be. And then you're going to be completing your user journey map, which you again will be uploading into Google Classroom for us to see and to share. So thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing some of you later.